There we go. Should be streaming now. Oy, oy, oy. That's it, we should have action now. Try and get this open somewhere. Okay. So I think we're in action now. So anyway, I can actually get on with doing the video now, which is good, because last time it just cut out for some reason. Yeah, okay, we're working, we're in action. Okay, so this is Unreal Engine. I don't know how many of you have been familiar with this. It's free to download and use game design engine and tool. It uses C++ as scripting, but also has a kind of visual programming language. I suppose like modular kind of style called Blueprints. What I'm going to go through today is just building basic levels, and I'm still a learner at this engine. I've done a few little tech demos with it and such, but I just thought I'd go through and discuss some features that I've discovered through building with Unreal Engine and kind of what I've discovered you can do with it. So this is the area I'm working on at the minute. Some of the lighting needs to be built, hence why some of it looks a bit screwed up. But yeah, basically building. I've put the first person character in. This is a template, so just the standard gun, which fires little yellow bullets. Some bits of plants, terrains all around here. Used a low poly asset pack because for the level I'm building at the minute it's like going to be basically a web game thing. That's screwed up. I'm still need to fix that. It's kind of floating off the ground. That's a bit strange. Let's look at that aspects of the model. Anyway, yeah. So the potentials for what you can actually do with this engine are quite strong. These graphics are quite stylized intentionally, as I said, because we're people working with on this. What we're making is going to be basically like a low. Well, it's going to be a separate application, but I think the style we want to go for is kind of like a cartoon, quite cartoony style, and not so much like South Park or something like that, but animate, kind of like a more stylized animation style. So I downloaded this pack called Low Poly. What's it called again? Let's have a look. Low Poly Ultimate Pack, which cost me 20 quid, and that kind of gives me a lot of options, objects I can use straight away. So I'm just going to go over some of the menu items, the actual interface for Unreal Engine, and I'll try and explain to the best of my ability which each bit does. It's got place mode, which is for placing different objects and different geometry and visual effects and stuff like that, I guess. You've got classes as well. I'll just go through these. The ones usually used to these recently placed is just things that we used recently, objects, 3D objects that we put into the map. Basic, you can add like empty character references, empty some meshes, like basic meshes like cube, spheres, cylinder, which that's for sure. There's just kind of to do that, it just inserts a cube object into the game space or the design space. What else we got? Lighting, which is one of the major things I actually need to work on this level. I've kind of gone a bit off on one before, and with some experimentations tried to reverse them, and then I'm having to kind of backtrack now just to get the most generic lighting state. What I'm doing now is just building the lighting as well, so a lot of the time it's just Unreal Engine just does this by generically anyway. It will just start, it will save the state of the map, I suppose, as it's going on. Just double check I'm still streaming. And yeah, so what I'm doing now is just building the level, so which basically re-renders it shouldn't take too long. While that's going on, I'll just chat, I suppose. Carry on talking. I'll carry on covering the menu area. Let's just build a lighting there. Cinematic I've not really looked into much, but it's to do with cameras, I think. Visual effects. So from work on this a bit, you can add kind of visual effects as it were. So you can add fog settings. Not really looked at the reflection settings much, but there's some really cool stuff there. Geometry you can just add in. So for example, if I wanted to add a curved staircase for some reason, bang it in there, and there you go. You got and then, I guess another very important thing to mention would be how you actually navigate around space in Unreal Engine, and it's fairly similar to a lot of other level design and world creation tools. Essentially, you've got an x-axis, y-axis, and z-axis. So that moves you along in 3D space that way. This moves you the other way. Then this on the y-axis move up. To do this, you just grab this tool and just drag it around 3D space. You can always do that, which is more like a free movement with the white ball thing. You can change the options for what you actually do with this tool here. So you can select which basically is moving it around. Rotate, so you can rotate on whatever axis you want to rotate on, and scale, which makes it bigger or smaller relative to the center of the object. And okay, what we've got here? Volumes. Not really looked into all of this, but I think this is very much used for triggering events, or for example, you've got a kill volume, just there, and then pain causing volume, which I started experimenting recently on. But volumes isn't something we've looked into a great deal yet. Should go into a bit more details. These tabs: paint, terrain. Terrain's a tool I've started using a bit more extensively now. So that's how all these hills around here are basically created a flat plane and then done various manipulations in space to create hills. So you've got lots of different options here, like sculpt, flatten, ramp, erosion, which can then allow you to define and create your environment. So I need to create some more kind of hilly environments here. So we'll do the defaults usually to sculpt, I think, and you can modify all the sizes of how the area that you want to affect as well. So do this now. You can't do that. You can undo easily if you're not happy with anything straight away with Control Z. How I usually do it is I do a bit of kind of slow building terrain, and then if I don't like something, just press Control Z straight away and then go for a series of that. I think it's very useful to be quite trigger happy on that Control Z, and you have to obviously be guided by intuition. I think so. Yeah, that's that. But yeah, and I'm just going to do this because I don't want the player to be able to just, which they can do currently at this point in the map, go off into empty space. So I'm just going to build up some of these areas here. Those squared off textures will get fixed as soon as I rebuild and recompile the level, which is just by clicking that. Step 4, build. Oh, I've got an error somewhere. So yeah, you get error prompts as well when you build things, which is useful. Hoping you can hear me. I'm apparently getting output, so hopefully so, otherwise it's completely useless. While this is compiling, I'll just switch this off for a quick second and just double check that's working. Because if it's not, then this has been essentially useless. Just double check on monitor. Can you hear anything? Okay. I'm just check. I'm going to go back on it in a second. Just checking I've actually had sound coming through. So it must be, yeah, I assume it is. Just trusting across. Okay, oh, look on Facebook. So I'm assuming we've got sound. I haven't heard anything to the contrary, so okay, let's just save this. Very good habit to get into is to save regularly, obviously. Because it's just a very good habit. And another thing I do often is actually create backups as well. So when I get to a certain point at this level, I'm going to create a backup. So I've kind of got like a prototype model I can of the level that I can just backtrack to. So at the minute I'm basically just building up the idea of the level. I mean, this is what I'm working on here is basically part of a larger project I'm working on with some people. So it's kind of basically what we're building here is a sandbox prototype level, and just to kind of define aesthetics. It's not really necessarily going to be in the finished project. I can't obviously go into too much details on that, but this basically a project I'm working on with some people in America. Just a bunch of people working on an interesting project basically in spare time. This build might take a little while. Okay, there we go. So yeah, so I've covered landscape building. Well, I haven't covered all of it obviously, but there's only so much I can really go into if I'm going to do a quick overview. Next up we've got foliage, which is quite useful and something I'm really starting to explore a bit more, and obviously I've gone a bit overboard in some respects I think at this point. But like for example, foliage is basically just adding, like, well, as you'd expect, foliage, grass, plants, etc, etc. But it doesn't just have to be that. You can add basically you can add anything to this. So if I wanted to now, and what it does is you've similar to the landscape mix, so that like sphere dome thing there is anything I paste now will paste that on. So if I go on to get some of my terrain, no, not terrain, is it? I've got to get a mesh that I want to copy across into grass or something. So I've already got grass across, but I'll just go through the process and start use a different grass model. Select the exact grass model I want. You can select multiple bits of foliage, and then it's really good because you can really be quite granular about this entire thing. So where I've got grass models there, I can just change the size of the brushes that are going to be pasted on, and the density, which is obviously the distribution. So I've just put 0.64 there. If I do that up again, it's a bit, you can tell. I'll just do two examples. Let's do one which is massive, like over the top. There's that. So I'll do that. And then let's just do one that's a bit smaller and less distributed. It's not too, that's not extreme enough variation of it. So yeah, see that's kind of what it is. It's really honestly as simple as that. For most, well, for the simple functions anyway. Just go in there and just like blah 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 blah. Now I guess part of the real trick of level design is actually getting something to look naturalistic in the sense of whatever aspect you're trying to create, I suppose. So that's what I'm working on at the minute, because at the minute, I mean obviously it's a bit like sculpting, I suppose, or it literally is. There is an artistic element to the level design. It's about, and it's not always about realism. Well, in this case it actually isn't about realism, it's about getting a nice balance between a certain kind of realism but also a kind of stylized cartoon look, like I said before. So yeah, this is what's looking. This is oh yeah, just go for this. Play gives you the option, just basically renders a very quick preview version of the map without it being an executable. So yeah, I mean when I've got to the stage where I actually want to have a look how this functions as an actual executable, I can output it as an executable, but I'm getting a bit ahead of myself there, so go into that. So, right, so it's got the foliage, geometry editing. I've not actually looked into much myself yet. I think it's just manipulating and editing bits of geometry, like by vertex being different points on the models. But it's not something I've really looked into much, so I'm not going to talk about it because I don't really know about it yet. So that's kind of your basic modes, which is primarily going to be switching through a lot of those a lot of the time. And then these are all the objects that are currently in the game world, game space, world space, as it were. And then when you click on any one of these, you get all the kind of details, and you can break down into a lot of kind of granular levels of what each one does. Blueprint is more getting onto that's where C++ and the blueprint modular kind of like scripting part comes in. So I'll just try and find all of that. I've not really done any editing on this at all script wise. I've just used the generic ones that came with it, apart from editing a bit of the blueprint script for the sky. So, and even then all I did was literally switch the text around there. But you can, I mean, if you well, invariably you will get to do this eventually if you're creating something complex. Just apply that lighting build. You can run these scripts, and you've got the ability to simulate, compile, and check that they're all working, they're error-free, etc. Obviously, there's a hell of a lot of detail in all these things, of abstract kind of language, detail and language. And there's a lot of different kinds of blueprints and scripts you can create. So I've not really don't dive that deep into it. Yeah, I'm trying to learn C++ at the minute, but I've only really just started that. I mean, having known Java, it's kind of okay, but it's a lot of new things to take on board. But that's kind of going ahead of myself again, because this isn't C++. This is the blueprint modular kind of scripting language I was talking about. This is visual programming, basically. But yeah, so this is like how it looks in the background, as it were, the kind of abstract layer of the programming language of Unreal in terms of the visual. And then you can also create scripts, but I'm not yet looked into building scripts in Unreal because I've not got to that level of expertise, I suppose. Anyway, so I guess what I'll just do this for a few more minutes and just build a few more little things in. So I'll just show how I'd usually go about plunking objects in. The lighting, like I said, needs fixing, so we'll have a look at just putting some more lights in. So it's skylight. I don't know how. There's different kinds of lights as well. So you've got directional light. Oh, it's a directional light. Obviously, as it suggests, it kind of distributes light across in a certain direction. Just like I said, there's more settings here than it's even. It'll probably take me an hour to go through just the light settings, like for a lot of things on here on this engine, because it's incredibly complex. There's a thing with that you can change the colours and do all sorts of funky shit. That's not obviously not going to do that because it's ridiculous. But oh shit, that works. Just get rid of that. Point light is that. So that's. I might actually add a few of these quite ambient. I'm going to probably add some more. So you can instantly see how that adds a bit more ambience to. I mean that obviously doesn't make sense in context of where it is, but you can see how nicely this quickly creates a nice little bit of ambience in the level, as opposed to before it's just everything's the same light everywhere. There's a lot of different things you can do here, like you can do the scale, but it's just all sorts. So I'll do that. So yeah, it's just editing how the light is being distributed across space. So that's quite cool, isn't it? So I might keep that there. I'm probably going to get some kind of. I don't really know why. The thing I need to figure out now is why this area here is just so dark. I guess it might be because of these, but yeah. Spotlights. It really looks at the spotlight, which is point light. Yeah, it's just like before there. So you've got to. I think part of the process of level design, in fact, is figuring out how to create the ambience. It's the real hard part, actually, to be honest. I might kind of, this looks like a kind of scary wood. I just had an idea, so this kind of looks like some kind of either haunted forest or something. So I'm going to, on that, I'm going to try and create like a lot of strange glowing red light coming out of it. These are the kind of things you kind of get into more as you make it more, like I say, give it more ambience and that, I suppose. Try and up the intensity, not too much. Don't know where it's, yeah, I think it's being obscured by all the different objects I put in here. This is a bit, I'm not really sure about all this stuff here. It looks really unnatural and I'm really not quite happy with it, so I might just delete all this eventually. But let's do this as an experiment for now. This is the best kind of light. I might try directional and make it smaller and make it red and do that. Whoa, see, that's way too bright. Oh, I might be kind of solving some of these. Yeah, that is actually, that's good. Put it up a bit. Put it up. It's ridiculously too light, but ugh, it's just way too bright. It's just horrible. Intensity, just bring it a lot down. It needs to be. Okay, so build that. Oh, I don't know how long I've been talking for us. Am I still streaming? Yeah. I hope you can hear me, by the way, because this is very, very stupid. I was just checking my checking my audio is coming through then because I wasn't sure. Okay, I'll just do a bit more light building and then I'll call it a day. Just don't even know, no real reason to do this. Just thought as I'm doing it, I might as well talk about it as I do it, which makes sense. And like I said, if you I think I'm pretty sure I saw Norris asking about what kind of spec you need to run this, or he's asking me what spec I'm running this. I'm running this on a Chill Blast gaming PC, so with a high-end graphics card, Radeon. So it is, generally speaking, you do need a decent processor, RAM, and graphics card to run this properly, because the actual engine itself is very powerful. And if you're not, oh shit, that's why. That's the fuck thing. That's just really bad placement on my part. I can switch the views as well. It's a very, very good habit to get into, actually. So yeah, so when you actually want to do more detail building, I'm being a bit just rough at the minute because I'm just building it up very slowly, but this is, I've just changed, what I've just done now is change the, oh shit, well, you change the camera views, and then so if I want to build, I can get things in line then, as opposed to doing it by kind of rack of eye, as it were. So that's obviously now our line. So we've got a few different views there as well, bottom, left. You can just go through more. The ones you're generally going to be using most 90% of the time are top perspective, but these are also very useful for lining things up and stuff quickly. But that's the thing that comes with time. You can change the different presentations of. Oh, that's quick. So you just, this is more useful. Change the view mode for working on specific aspects like the detail lighting. You're going to be able to determine different ways of the most efficient ways to use light. But I probably should just work now on just adding a bit more objects. I've just changed my mind because the lighting often is the last element to come in. As in, you've got your basic shape of things working, so why would you you then add the lighting on top. It's like the icing on the cake, as it were, I suppose. That the sun over there is an object I put in. That's not very non-typical. That's very non-typical or unreal. I just decided to place it in there for increase the, I guess, like the stylized thing I was going for. Do a few more minutes and I'll just call this a day because I don't even know if anyone's watching or just build it. Actually, what I'll do is I'll build it, I'll show you how to output what you want as an executable, output this as a test, and then we have a look at what it looks like when it plays. It'll be the first time I played this specific level, so as an executable, so it'll be quite interesting to see if it works. It should be fine. It's just a very basic level, so but I have had instances in the past where things I've made have crashed unexpectedly, which is why, as I said before, it's extremely important to save often and do backups. So where are we? Project settings I think I have to go into. So all I'm doing now is just going into, because I've left, as I said, I used the first person game template to save me having to create all that by hand and then from scratch, because I'm only creating a sandbox for this thing. So this basically what I'm going to now is project settings. So from here you can define, I'm just trying to remember where it is, all the settings associated with your project. So I'm just trying to remember where I go on to for so yeah, on the how I've done this as well, because just when you start off you get this option. Obviously I'm not starting from scratch, but you can set it to desktop or console or mobile or tablet, which obviously affects a lot of things. I've changed it to scalable 3D or 2D because, like I said, I'm making a low poly game, which isn't about you can go maximum performance, which is beautiful, really beautiful, intensely high. You're definitely going to need a high-end graphics card game if you're making that. So packaging, where I need to go actually is, so basically the minute it's loading up the first person template default level you get straight away, so I need to change that now. So I need to change it so that when it loads up the level 1, which I'm creating at the minute. So that's my level object there, it's called level 1, and game default is level 1. So instead of, it's going to load up level 1 as opposed to the standard one now, and that should work now. So I think it just saves it automatically from what I remember. I want to rebuild all this one final time. What's this? Okay, it's kind of some kind of mirror message there. Okay, it's just saying it needs lighting rebuilt, so I'll just do that now. Build lighting. Okay, yeah. So it's doing it now. Apply it then. Apply that lighting build. That should hopefully look a bit better now. I'm just going to put it out as an executable, see what it looks like, have a test play, and then leave it for a while. Yeah, it can take a while, this part. I'm running a high-end PC as well, so that's good. I definitely hope you can all hear me, because knowing my luck, I will have. Shit. I'm still getting used to this thing and just downloaded it as well, so it's not. Okay, so that's good. Okay, right. So, save all of it. Save everything that I've just done, because I just rebuilt all the lighting. And let's see what this actually looks like as an executable. So we're going to go package it up for Windows and 64-bit. Just my computer, 64-bit. I'm just going to put it on the plunk at the desktop, make a new folder called. New folder called random test. That's it. Test level. Okay. This shouldn't take too long because it's not big. I'm just got up the output just to see exactly what's going on, just in case because at this point things can crash. If it does, I'll just give up. We'll see at this point, because I'll have to figure out what's gone wrong. But with every luck, it's just package up all the files, and then should be able to play it as an executable on Windows. So I'll be able to play this level and test it out, I guess. So, yeah, so it's, all it's doing is packaging up all the resources from the low poly which I've used in the map, everything I've used, transferring all the textures across, all the actual level design, the geometry of the map, and all that. Another thing I actually need to work on is sound, but I haven't really thought about that because I'm just trying to build the basic areas. So yeah, that's just patching it up to executable. It shouldn't take too long. Sometimes it takes ages, but usually it's quite fast. And I've got a fast processor and RAM on this computer, so it does beast through it all the time. It can be frustrating if you do randomly get errors. This is why, again, I recommend regular saving and backups and prototype maps and such. Good thing to do as well is to develop a naming convention. So I'll just call this level 1 as now, but I'm going to probably make a backup of this and also make it as draft build or prototype, like like something like level 1 underscore prototype or something, and then just iterate through your designs. So level 1 prototype 1, level 1 prototype 2. I would say don't be afraid of creating too many, because that's kind of a very good practice, I think, in some respects, to create loads of different save points that you can roll back to if things go wrong. What's it doing now? Blah 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 blah. It's just, I think it's coming to the end of the packaging process. Hopefully we're going to be in action more or less, so we can boot it up and play it. Have a look, see what it looks like. Okay. Yeah, this might, hopefully it won't take too long, but it might take a little while, so I'll just talk shit in the meantime. Okay. A bit scared to transfer over to my webcam so you can see my beautiful face, because I don't know if there was a conflict before that might have caused the desktop capture to go off, so I'm not going to bother to do that. Yeah. Let's get a beer out of it. It shouldn't take too long, this. If this has been useful at all to anybody, let me know. I'll do it again, because it is just useful to share knowledge and experience, and I think it's useful, and also for you got questions. Because I'm still learning with Unreal Engine, I'm not an expert on it. I've done it for a few months now, created demos and stuff. So it's most of what I learn is just by messing around with it, and that's honestly the best way to learn with it, I think. That's with anything, just get stuck in. Well, it does consume a lot of your life, but to be honest, when you really get into it, it becomes a very fun process anyway. So yeah, there's obviously a lot of stuff going on in the background here. Like I mentioned numerous times, there's a lot of power in this engine. There's a lot of scale, kind of variety of different things you can do with it as well, which is very useful. You can also create third-person games, all sorts of game styles. I mean, it's not really any limitation on that. So you don't have to create a first-person game. You can create a third-person. You create a game with a car. You can create a racing game. You can create a spaceship game. You can create anything really. The only limitations are really your imagination. I think, like I mentioned before, if you sell anything that's built with Unreal Engine, you only pay 5%. I think it is still currently, if you earn over £10,000 or $10,000 from selling it on Steam or whatever. So it's actually quite a fair deal. Other comparable engines are also very good. So Unity's good as well, and a bit of a easier learning curve for level design as Unity, but only thing is it's not got quite the power, as far as I'm aware, as hasn't got as many much scope for real detail, getting really drilled into things, but it is a good engine as well. So, I think kind of debates around Unreal Engine or Unity are kind of pointless in a lot of ways. Unreal Engine is a lot more complex, a lot harder to learn, but more powerful. Unity is also very powerful, but just easier to learn in some respects. But then, saying that, I've used Unity as well. I don't know if it's because I'm just more used to Unreal Engine. It kind of matches a lot of tools I've used in the past, like going back even to Worldcraft or build, I was quite used to abstraction and be able to drill down in game engines, so it wasn't that much of a hard thing to transfer over to. And you do all that in Unity as well. It's got a very similar interface, but I just found the way it works to be a bit it's just, I don't know, I just haven't used it enough basically. Some other similar ones I've used as well have been Leadworks. Leadworks is one you can download pretty cheap on Steam, and it's that's quite good. It's a bit less, very much like what it looks literally the same as Worldcraft, the Quake engine. And there's one called Game Guru, which I've used quite a lot for beginners. If anyone's wanting to really just have a little crack at something and make a little mini game, like a first-person shooter, Game Guru you can download for Steam. It's like 10 quid. I've actually made a game on it called Kill Starlings, and it's yeah, it's taken ages actually. Okay, okay, we've got a warning, but that doesn't mean it's necessarily going to crash. Something to do with textures and memory streaming platform. Should be right. That kind of suggests we're near the end of the process, but we'll see. But yeah, we'll see. Game Guru is a good one to get on if you want to just mess about with something. It's also got a basic Lua scripting engine. I don't really know how to script in Lua, but it doesn't seem that difficult. And you can, there's loads of little predefined scripts you can even download from that, which is quite useful, like AI scripts and stuff. AI is an area I actually need to look into in Unreal Engine. Haven't done that yet. So actual having enemies and objects, and then giving them artificial intelligence. That'll be, I think, after we've designed the map and it's working, then we as in the team that work on this will look into importing models in and then giving them some kind of basic AI for NPCs. Just have a look around some of the elements of this. So yeah, it's cool. Artistic kind of shots there. So there's some nice little bits of areas developing here. Like you've got this wood area. These are some that needs a bit of modification, but it's basically working with some of the particle effects that come with this package downloaded. And that needs a bit of modification because it looks a bit unnatural, but that's quite cool, doesn't it? If I can, once I got it modded to a higher level, it'll look quite a nice effect of leaves falling. I was thinking of doing that, having a lot of snow everywhere, but at the minute I've got particle effects for snow, but I'm just trying to figure out the best way to do it over the entire area at the minute, which is not figured out. So, if anyone else uses Unreal Engine, I know Jamie Stantonian does indeed, so if he's watching and you know how to do that, bro, just hit me up and let me know, because I have no idea at the minute. I mean, I know how to do it in a very, very laborious way, but it just seems counterintuitive, so anyway. Execution is a block though. I'm basically trying to make it into a kind of medieval / fantasy town, I suppose. This is taking ages actually. I might stop the stream. I don't know, let's just see. Okay, so I'll wait another few minutes, see if anyone's watching on the Unreal Engine thing. Hopefully I'm streaming still. Yeah. Oh, oh. Oh. Okay. Just checking. That's what people are commenting. I guess people are. I guess there's no problems because. Just gonna quickly check to see if that sound's been picked up. Listen to it. Ah, it's good. That's good. I can hear myself, which is always somewhat odd. Yeah, this is working good. Okay, so we should be getting there now, almost. Obviously this is quite a boring bit, but it shouldn't take too much longer. I guess it's because there's so many tree and foliage objects, it's taking a while to render everything out. So the engine has to account for all of that, the objects in the game, import those objects in, and then like create records in the memory of where those objects are in the space in the game engine, I suppose. And well, various other things that go on underneath the surface with scripting and scripts and blueprints and etc. And the textures, the lighting, and blah blah blah. It doesn't usually take this long, but I'm not worried because it can often take a long time. Yeah, this is why generally I only do tests like this. Well, I do them at a relatively early stage because you want to find out if there's major issues like pretty much straight away, so that you can just zap them. So it's going quite. Well, that's why when you do builds, you can see errors that come up anyway. But it's not always obvious, of course, how to deal with them if you're really still learning the engine as I am. So there's that too. Okay. Okay, so it looks like it's adding. Let's just full screen this. There we go. So we've got it. It's outputted. It's complete. Should have gone onto my desktop since I look. Hey. Apologies for anyone of OCD viewing my meme-tastic desktop, but that's just how I roll. Where'd you go? Where did I put it? There we go. So all the files are outputted here, and now we can just go into it and roll with the older. There we go. So there you go. Full screen if we can. So no sound in it yet, which is a bit makes it seem unnatural, but there we have a working prototype level. So let's have a little explore around here. Obviously, like I've not had to naturally program in any collision detection because the engine deals with all that. Which, if you have ever tried to program 3D games in any other language or any other game engine, can be a freaking nightmare. So that's useful. Some of the lighting seems very unnaturalistic, so we definitely need to fix that, like I said before. But yeah, I can walk around here, and it's surprising actually, once I've added sound in here, what effect sound can have on the ambience of a map. It really does bring it all to life, because at the minute it's just silent. But yeah, so we've got, let's have a wander around. So we've got all our foliage here. This looks okay, quite naturalistic. Once I've got more other areas of the map kind of built up, I suppose. And once I get some ambient background effects of wind and stuff, it'll actually feel more like your natural environment. So I've got a dark wood over here that's kind of emerging, but also not just general wood area. Well, I think we'll just get some creatures in here a little bit there as well. There's trees. I can probably walk off the map still at the present, but I'm not going to do that because it'll kill me. So yeah, it's starting to get there. Oh, a bit of a clipping issue there. That's an issue. I'm going to have to fix that. It's a major issue actually. I think I knew that would probably be an issue on that area. Those are colliding, so that's good. This bit here, which just looks ridiculous, I need to get rid of that. Well, it doesn't look ridiculous. I mean, if I can actually add some ambience, like I said, do lighting effects to it and build it up somehow. But that was basically a bit of just an experiment gone wrong on my part, I think, in some respects. Because that no trees are like, you don't really, trees just don't. You don't have woods that look like that, do you, in real life? It'll be interesting to see if I can get some kind of movement with the foliage. I've not tried that yet. As in like a kind of waving in the wind thing. Houses look alright. I don't think they're just essentially outside models. I think how they'll function in the game anyway is that you go into them, and then if they do have to have an interior, it'll just load up a new area. Because essentially, like I said, without going into details, it's kind of an RPG that we're building. So that's what I do. So yeah, I can't really think I can do more than that in this. So I'll just close this down. So yeah, I'll switch to my face for a second and talk for 2 minutes. So yeah, that was that. Cheers for watching. I'll probably do another episode of this. Just do them every now and again because it seems useful, like I said, to show people